So, we're going to do another adult scenario. Oh, it's too late. Alright, okay, so what settings are we? I'm inspired by Bill Cosby. There we go. And then do that. And then higher volumes mean. Sometimes I want repetition. Wait. You know, let's turn it down a little bit. See what happens.
Emotional abuse should be like
I totally forgot. That's not enough. Oh, let's try streaming it. That'll be like a little bouncing ball. Not Omicron, not Brenda. The Celestine. I don't know who Celestine is.
Emotional abuse simulator. Loading. Type of abuse to experience. Professional media. Television. Name of abuse recipient. Tay-Sachs. Demographic tags and backstory. Hispanic, white, queer. 29 years old, 11 years. Stimulant user. Discreet. Idiot. Seat slogan. The show is not gonna produce itself. Safety fourth. Begin scenario. Aspiring actor Tay-Sachs is memorizing their lines for the audition for a cast role in Neurobiodorama, a kids' science show where kids possess an alien hologram machine that takes them places which they use solely for educational purposes. The protagonist is a character called the Voice of Knowledge, an overworked but devoted person. You'll know because you got this far and will notice there are no other roles listed. The Voice of Knowledge is given a break from the group and is assigned the task of taking the group to the moon because a group of people has been complaining for years about the lack of diversity of their cast of characters. They have decided that all astronauts are white men who happen to be superheroes. Your group is split up into teams for the adventure. You're Team Gray because one of the producers was so anxious they forgot the proper racial demographics. Your partner in crime is Mr. Tuxedo, an older man who does not recognize that he's actually the target of your ire for a multitude of reasons. There is some poor research about a Shetland pudding on Wikipedia. And you've explained that the pudding is very large, it does not have feet, and it will get the fuck away if you threaten it, which seems to anger him further. He threatens to cancel the entire show due to his failure to find the appropriate character. As you read your lines for the audition, A new actor is selected for the job, and you are both invited to stay and audition for her role. Her character is a red-headed teenager named Bronte, who wants to be the voice of authority like the voice of knowledge is, but also likes the power to be as bossy and demeaning to everyone else in the show as possible. She has the chance to work with you on one scene. As you're rehearsing, you're grumpy at Mr. Tuxedo and annoyed with Bronte for making too much noise. Your work isn't quite to the level that you expected it to be. So when the rehearsal room gets too quiet, you try to jump right into your lines and end up confusing the heck out of everyone in the room because you think you can jump to a different scene, which is apparently not possible. As a result, Mr. Tuxedo gets angry at you for messing things up. So you are taken to the main stage with the rest of the crew. Everyone is very excited to go see the moon because it's an actual moon in front of them, unlike all the others in the show, and they take you there in a spaceship. Mr. Tuxedo's boss arrives to give you some backstory about Bronte, as he was not prepared to learn that you were friends with her before being sent to audition, which then results in another discussion of where the show came from and how important the red hair and blue eyes are. It's now the final scene in the show. As it plays out, you must first accept a box of moon dust and eat it yourself in order to absorb all its magical properties. The more you eat, the more moon you have in you. As you use the moon in your performances, it becomes brighter, and other characters on stage start to use more magical objects in their routines, such as a cloak of invisibility, a talking table, a magic cape, a giant harp, and so on. This, combined with a recent addition to your script, which comes from Bronte when she realizes that there is a black girl. Cast as the voice of wisdom in this show and makes it all the more pressing for there to be a red-headed role, results in everyone using magic in their performance until everyone is glowing and shines like the moon in this story. Bronte joins the other two voices of wisdom to sing their song together, but at the same time, a little boy sings his song solo and starts glowing even more, until finally everyone, including you, is covered in glow white magical energies. You sing about all of the different ways that the moon is the source of power, but the power is within us all, not the moon, because we can make ourselves and each other glow if we're brave and follow our inner wisdom. But why would we put out the moon? It doesn't seem to do much aside from giving light. We need to keep the moon hidden from those who wish to use its power to hurt people, said the voice of wisdom. Only one small piece of the moon's magic is in any given person. If they were to touch the moon's surface directly, they would lose all their power instantly and become mortal. The director, Mr. Tuxedo, and thus your boss, wants you to rehearse further in his office tonight. Mr. Tuxedo has the office to himself and invites you both inside. As Mr. Tuxedo sits at his desk, you sit on his lap for comfort and to make him comfortable because of all the bad stuff that has happened this day. It was a very stressful day, but the relief at getting your job back feels like it's finally coming, and this is a way to reward Mr. Tuxedo and also let him know he can count on you. You kiss and fondle each other, and he groans. You didn't actually consent to this, but you let it happen because you want that job, and you'd kill for this opportunity. And if you had to have sex with him, and with a stranger, then by God, you will make it as easy as possible on yourself. It's going to be awful, you're already dreading it, but this is just work. You put the boss first. As you hear footsteps approach, you take your hands away, turn on your best professional smile, and say, "You forgot your phone." Present time. "That's it?" asked the director. You made a beeline to the craft services table and got yourself 3 Cheetos bags. and mango latte for your stomach. You then hurried to the exit, slung the lassos over your shoulder, and took the long hallway to the restrooms. When you came back from the bathroom, the director was looking at his cell phone. That's it? The end? We're done? Yes, sir. That's all, sir. You said as you struggled to get up, I gotta go now. Bye. It's been real. You got your lasso in place, slung the lassos over your shoulder again, and walked out of the room with Mr. Tuxedo following. As soon as he let his gaze fall on you, you turned to face him. You just sit down there until I'm done making my rounds, okay? We're going to finish our discussion, one way or another. Verbal? Well, sure, I suppose, but get me 2 coffees on the house. Okay, but is it? Is this something that you're just gonna demand because you know you can? But if I don't do it, I won't get it. That job? You're hired! Yes, I already told you it wasn't for hire. It's a work for hire, which means I'll still own everything you make. This is an advance of my rights on all the games you've written, which will be rolled into the total. You cradled your coffee cup to your chest, slowly and painfully. This was awful. You were giving away all of this wonderful writing. Are you trying to play hardball? I mean, are you asking me to pay you twice what I'm offering now? Yeah, kind of, actually. The answer is no, though. This isn't like your first deal. The deal you negotiated yourself when you knew next to nothing and had no idea how to play the game, much less the business. Now we know how this shit goes down. Right. You could have gotten us $10 or 15 for something we bought or created and are trying to claim for yourself. We give it to you, but it would cost us maybe another $1 in production costs. It's a piece of cake for you to take credit and add it to your portfolio. You've been making a whole lot of money, so I'm guessing you know the score and understand the stakes. You bit back tears that threatened to spill over as you said, "It's okay. I get it." The director, Mr. Tuxedo, glared at you with an unnervingly stony gaze, like you'd done something wrong. You find a lawyer, an expert in at will employment states and intellectual property, and tell them your predicament. The lawyer pulls out a sheet of paper, writes a number, looks it over, says, "This'll do," and hands it to you. Here's $10,000 in cash, plus interest. That should take care of any problems we encounter with respect to your employer, if the need ever arises. Oh, and a note that says you're allowed to have my job. If I die, so can you. The lawyer flashes you a smile. You had 2 choices. You could leave now without telling them anything about your troubles with the boss and try to find work somewhere else. Or you could wait around for a few more days while the legal wranglers got your finances squared away. In exchange, you'd be able to collect unemployment and get your work republished. And then, well, you had a little extra money in your bank account and no more obligations. Why not take the whole vacation as planned? And even if you went on to publish all of your work, the process would take a good number of years. For all you knew, that promotion and salary increase might have been yours for life. What you didn't realize is how bad it had gotten at work. Because you had just written up the project, there wasn't a great deal of incriminating information for the lawyers to comb through. Still, they needed more to ensure your employer got nothing when your boss came crawling to you for help. You stood in line with a giant box of donuts at the checkout of the store you worked at. It wasn't your workday today, just a civilian. Those things aren't good for you. You know, one of the checkout workers told you. The other worker, who happened to be a lesbian, rolled her eyes. That's like saying a sandwich isn't good for you because there are vegetables in it. They're like bread and sugar and fat. No wonder people keep ordering them. A customer, I was already in the line, laughed. He was older and in need of a walker to get around. You knew he'd been at the store for about 2 hours and hadn't bought anything yet. But you couldn't let him know you were the one who noticed. The first employee, she was a real estate agent by trade, kept prodding you with questions, including, are these like just for you or you and your family? You shrugged. What's with all this junk food anyway? You should really start making better choices, she added, with a disappointed look at the mountain of donuts and chocolates before you. That's what the government's for. She joked as the customer in front of you finished his transaction and made for the exit. She repeated herself when you said nothing. You can tell him to take your food away, I guess, she said, trying to make light of her remark. She probably had kids that needed braces, but you couldn't laugh along, not now. Yeah, my friends are getting married and having kids and starting families soon, or so they've told me. All while I'm at the same desk for 5 years and living off the pay stubs of people who decided to work out. Donuts shouldn't be like sourcing methadone. Everyone stops. Oh, that was supposed to be a thought bubble. I should have labeled it. I guess I never did hear back from that job I applied for. She offered, as if offering a condolence, but you knew what she was trying to say. It was worse than what the customer had implied. He didn't imply anything. He knew nothing. She had one more nugget of advice. You probably knew this would come. You're looking good for your age, though. No wrinkles on your face. It's not my choice. I'd love to look more like I used to, but with a disease that age regresses me, well, what do you want to look like? A 30-year-old. You uttered the old wives' tale. Some people look older in old photos because their true age looked younger then. At least you've still got a bit of a shape on you. She joked as if it was all about you and your body. I used to be able to have fun without food, but that was long ago now. You nodded slowly, a weak smile on your face. Well, I'll stick to that salad at lunch, just to be safe. She continued, but I gotta admit, you look much better than your pics from college. Don't let them get to you, but you know how they all can be, she added, looking out the glass doors, past the other employees to the parking lot, where they stood among their cars. A guy in a white Ford Explorer just pulled up. Mr. Tuxedo? Yeah, the one that had shown you around and been impressed at what a good employee you'd be in all your new hire paperwork. Well, maybe he wasn't as impressive as you thought he was. Maybe it was just lip service. Maybe you'd end up with no job and living off welfare checks. You were pretty sure that was why people got off welfare. The guy walked toward his car, turned his head and started to leave when he saw you standing outside. Yeah? You didn't think this day could get any better? He said. You were a bit shaken by the scene in the break room. It seemed like they would not be pleased if you went back there, but that meant that you were still in the position where you needed a job. I'm not going back. I'm just... You looked up. There it was. You could see your own reflection through the window, but you couldn't believe what you saw. Was that how others saw you? This was a weird project, a reality show Buto warehouse wholesale chain. All the staff, the actors, and all the shoppers were unknowing participants who didn't know that parking in the lot was the equivalent to having signed a waiver for use of their likeness. Well, not really. It wasn't entirely legal. It was more that all of them had signed something saying that the company wasn't liable for whatever happened in their cars while they were out of sight of the law. That, along with the fact that they had all agreed to be filmed in the course of their job and that the footage was a part of their compensation, got them off the hook legally, as far as you could tell. That's just the way we look in that video, you muttered to yourself. You watched as a line of trucks carrying wooden pallets began to approach the gates to your parking lot. There were 6 drivers, and the men behind the wheel of the trailers seemed like they were all having fun. But there was something in the way they spoke to their crewmates, with lots of chuckles and an over-the-shoulder. We should make sure all our tires are aligned and that all the cargo is evenly distributed. You sighed and went to talk to the man in charge of the cargo. One of them had been given way too much alcohol. They were slurring their words and falling from their stool every 15 minutes, but it was as though they didn't realize this themselves. There were hundreds of boxes to be packed for shipment. A woman whose eyes lit up with excitement when she saw all the crates and told her partner about a pair of boots she'd bought at a sale. She promised him a new pair once she had enough saved up. The man thanked her, and she returned to her work area, moving boxes to be packed and sorting through them before they were loaded into the transport. One of them began to troll and heckle the store staff. When their jokes fell flat, they doubled down, and the store staff lost it. In no time, all the staff were crying, screaming at the top of their lungs while throwing things. There was a family sitting behind the store, with a father in the middle of his 3rd serving of French fries, trying to explain the merits of the food items on the menu board to his young child who just wanted a glass of milk. One of them was tasked with writing down the customer's order in the form of a novel, including all the details and particulars of each item. When trying to confront, they started to claim racism because of the Afro-Caribbean heritage, though they were the ones calling you and your coworkers a bunch of bombaclots. An older man came through and grabbed an old photo album out of a box on one of the shelves and thumbed through it. Well, I guess I can remember this time. Damn. I still wish my eyes would return to my eyes so that I could read them, he said before walking out with the book. Some guy showed up in the bookstore, trying to buy an academic text by Eileen Miles, which was deemed inappropriate and refused because of its themes of BDSM and queer culture. A man's face was hidden behind a mask that he had a hard time putting on and off by himself, despite its having been specially designed for the disabled, so he sat next to the desk waiting to be helped. The woman who assisted him with his mask took one look at him and said, "You don't look like you need that, sir." He said, "Well, if you know what's good for you, you know how many people can't get one themselves. Your workplace is located on the 3rd floor of an office building overlooking the local bus stop."
Complete list of inappropriate books at your bookstore. Number 1.
The Hating Game. 2. A very long engagement. 3. Americana. 4. After this, my voice will be gone.
Hold on. Title and brief abstract.
Complete list of inappropriate books at your bookstore, title and brief abstract.
No. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Tactics. And okay, there we go. I'm hallucinating text too.
Complete list of inappropriate books at your bookstore. Title and brief abstract. 1. Tactics and Other Artifacts in Academic Text, Eileen Miles, which was deemed inappropriate and refused because of its themes of BDSM and queer culture. 2. I Can't Believe It's Not Love, a memoir of sex between two men written by a straight man. 3. You're Gonna Miss Me, a guide to saying goodbye to your friends, a collection of essays that discuss how people are literally the worst. 4. A compassionate, caring relationship. How to stop taking things so goddamn personally and how to keep your guts, balls, and soul intact when they get shut off in the process. An academic text by David Schnarch with exercises to help a person move through life without their internal organs getting shredded by asshole jerks. Assholes who should be eaten alive by horrible worms who live inside their skulls so they'll never be happy in life ever again. 5. Fuck off and die. A woman's guide to taking control of her own destiny. An academic text by Terry Cole that helps a woman learn how to identify and address her internalized misogyny. To move from victim of that misogyny to creator of it, which is the most empowered thing she can do for herself. 6. On seeing beauty, on feeling one's way in the orgasmic path to freedom from attachment, an academic text, Eileen Miles, that was deemed inappropriate and refused because of its themes of BDSM and queer culture. 7. I'm Tired and You're the Only Person I Can Blame, a self-help workbook and memoir by Jeff Louise on his many years of using people to get what he wants, how those relationships are dysfunctional, and how that is part of the problem when it comes to dealing with mental health issues. Also, that Scum Manifesto by Valerie Solanas. It was considered too political. 9. The Fire, this time an academic text by Ta-Nehisi Coates that was deemed too political. 10. The Vagina Monologues, an academic text, Stephen Slur. 11. The Hate You Give, an academic text by Angie Thomas about police violence in America. It was deemed controversial because of the presence of a strong white male antagonist who is critical of the protagonist. 12. American Psycho, an academic text, Bret Easton Ellis, banned for its violent imagery and offensive language. 13. In Cold Blood, an academic text by Truman Capote about an axe murder. 14. I Have Never Liked You, a feminist exorcism, an academic text by Roxane Gay on feminism. 15. Lolita, an academic text, Vladimir Nabokov about the titular pedophile, Lolita, who falls in love with his neighbor's daughter and the ensuing investigation by police. 16. Of Mice and Men, an academic text, John Steinbeck about two migrant men, George, an orange farming ranch hand, and Lenny, his mentally disabled farmhand, who joined forces in search of a new life. It is often praised as one of the greatest novels of all time and has been made into numerous film and musical adaptations, the most recent in 2018 with Timothy Chalamet playing a leading role alongside Gary Oldman.
I'm guessing he's Lenny.
17.
Gary Oldman.
American Psycho, an academic text Bret Easton Ellis, banned because it was perceived as pornographic for graphic violence. 18. All the President's Men in Academic Text Robert Caro, and academic text Watergate journalists Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein's investigations into the Watergate scandal of 1972. 19. Be Quiet and Drive, an academic text Susan Fauti chronicled her experience covering a women's rally as an up-and-coming reporter for the Washington Post. After making new friends at a roadside bar, she finds herself under scrutiny when other young women begin dying of overdoses at the site, and the men in her group become suspicious about why she's never gone to the party after all these years. 20. Kept people in academic text Boris Vian, about a couple living on a French Riviera island where they witnessed supernatural incidents before meeting and falling in love. 21. Cinderella and the Other Women in Academic Text Kim Stanley Robinson, published in 2016. Robinson imagines what might have happened if Mary Shelley had created the story with another female character, or, better yet, multiple women. 22. City on Fire collection of essays about growing up in the aftermath of 9/11, edited by Eva Cantor. It includes essays on coming of age while Muslim, say Kadia, Sarah Begum, sexual assault and bystander intervention, Sarah Kokelman, Emily Walters, the backlash to intersectional feminism art, Ashahani and more. 23. Drowned World and Academic Text Philip K. Dick, a posthumous collection of 8 science fiction stories by Dick exploring his love-hate relationship with reality. The title's the only connection to a work of SF. 24. Fear and Trembling in Academic Text Isaac Stern, about 19th century poet and playwright Leo Tolstoy, exploring all facets of Tolstoy's life, including his feud with his daughter and his conflicts with Russia's patriarch and Tsar Alexander Roman II. 25. Girl Power, an academic text Bethany Franklin, her autobiography fresh off the boat about the decision to go through life as a person of Asian descent without dropping the hyphen. While a memoir rather than official memoirs, it is a biography written by someone who knew Frankel firsthand during her own professional success in the media spotlight and leading a mostly media-free private life. 26. Gangs of New York and Academic Text, Mario Puzo, a book that inspired Martin Scorsese's eponymous movie as well as Francis Ford Coppola. A debut movie, It's Always Fair Weather, among many others, which elaborates heavily on Irish criminal immigrants throughout late 19th and early 20th century New York, running one by one after the other to death out from gangs of a black city overrun with black folk before time takes its toll against racial harmony. 27. Graverobbers and Academic Text Doris, lesson about 15 characters who experience loss, regret, identity struggles, and secret identities which either vanish entirely or attempt to reclaim their rights to land and stolen land within this novel concerning the moral ramifications of a future after African dictators die, which will turn this imagined economy into an armed conflict to battle criminals looking for the bodies of his living members without compromising human nature and mortality. 28. Hellraiser 2, the sequel. While this movie does feature death metal noodled lovemaking involving Mr. Pin backstabbed and raped repeatedly, featuring extremely twisted camera views on opening credits, several very sexy shots, highly suggested reading for the aficionado of gay and erotic film aesthetics, the gore-heavy ending remains genuinely fairly on model as promised in original novels when setting out into different time intervals than previous work, not allowing it to return into what is likely under tight secrecy not shared, if discussed at all with another group who may even overlapping research works. 29. Humphreys and Spats, an academic book, Gertrude Chandler Warner, and a variety of writers collaborating on a piece related to this popularly American author, depicting her as an emotionally battered woman surrounded by people more in love with the outside world than within, a collection including real incidents of physical or emotional abuse present in rural U.S. Western law. Here based on numerous 19th century studies featuring historical realism through very literal historical allusions between its representations of reality as was usually based in 19th century everyday happenings and references of internalized oppression even unto obsession later called misogyny toward that era's new religious pioneers as presented and displayed for study by this noted female member in creating early works relating to violence toward females, with these women still allowed at all, much less expected to exist publicly much in society much or later beyond as servants, a legacy to better change and open access for future female equality once before too far distant from ideal in addressing sexual awareness prior. 30. Jurassic Park 3, Island of the Living Dead horror mixed with erotica, somewhat carnality being implemented and utilized by some women in mind only here since they work well for contrast between darker emotion and love of a Dune franchise with softened lights along jumbo flora and fauna giving an excellent example for arousal through a warm environment. 31. I'll Cry Tomorrow, screenplay featured a minor but famous actor directed by no other than its co-writer Sidney Sheldon, whose more recognizable father passed out half of Hollywood glamour known publicly unconsciously via iconic images both pose courtesy of their father, whose dies notably never went at all straight. If anything related to royalty like movie memorabilia appears about a decade from now, they'd better treat the family accordingly or respectfully honor and paying cash beforehand, since most legends demand some payback from such wealth. Still, when a director gives lifetime pay deals outright to actors, one's not properly qualified or at all available despite not aspiring toward life therein. Life, it's sure signs that we're done all right and completely met, not exactly working, though considering talent only exists thus far. 33. Freud's deep history biologist David Scott, professor who after hours sometimes plays more card-based games while his students hold on to bar games featuring snacks, wine if it will matter afterward, while in drinking alone playing role with this game meant to uncover sexual meaning to ancient myths, focusing largely around God, and although being very close friends at the time for the Schopenhauers themselves have the influence of religion strongly, so despite having studied Hitler, it's mostly irrelevant during later studies, Germany becoming simply odd between being an intellectual group aside with perhaps too many problems, finding something seriously reasonable to waste their energies on, whom showed an interest of the author into philosophy, if rarely enough doing something practical, especially in real science / cosmo, even though psychology and specific from memory turned to have the least concern over sex. Still, he wrote quite of more concern while fascinated mainly with comparative mythology, whereas this led to rather obscure speculation, while gaining fame, so doing popular on college campuses, making small notoriety among physicists, becoming sometimes highly focused on themes as bizarre and varied even into oddest detail, probably because this time out enjoying popular psychology, having people using words as so like it can get towards these days, considered acceptable because so long for him feeling discreet enough had his own interests aside from being mostly driven only about applying reasoning as base was standard part of overall equation because sometimes due to pressures this method could lose relevance before otherwise said otherwise altogether proving just what he tried for figuring out after which can never again ever be accepted by all before. A proper biologist whose passion remained consistent despite his choice in private, off hours, even once given ample free time leading up to perhaps what actually mattered had nothing but fun to put words into the same order each playtesting. Ultimately leading only to minor tidbits of amusement, yet most getting filed down first with concern and dreads whether still any connection of interest pertaining to primal instincts when instead led to obsess over form maybe lead some kind of base on each and every one discovering to experience a setback relating to lack of sense one by another knowing perfectly well after having played 20 times likely leading with random shuffle already letting this slide way enough earlier actually with an equally stupid next rule some kind of very solid expectation that God needs not reveal himself to mortal fools, since who bother trusting him anyway, making best to forget it matters very little before others join play. 34. Mommy Dearest, everyone's favorite movie about Hollywood's favorite film star who carries the world on her back and with style, and her daughter who just cannot sit in her mother's shadow. Covered here with the blessing of none other than Joan Collins herself, with for warning, do not go telling this version as your original script, or be prepared for more punishment, coming now with a patented sparkly dust which lands much like to Marge, except a better show through the thinness that just wait to hear about my name from inside your ass later. Joan. 5. Dear Sally Rancher, I've read about you on your Facebook page, and while I know there are exceptions to the rules, I'm wondering if maybe a nice boy your own age of, not my own, or rather whoever gets lucky to break you open about his potential intention towards your vagina may suffice to relieve my sexual pressure any time without finding other alternate methods much. He assures us it's almost simply force them, otherwise only barely understandable that then becomes inconvenient. Every method so difficult once begun unless fully charged, lest things spiral down to force of force leads otherwise than now about possibly another long setback leaving this poor girl who may know the right use only other methods possible, probably nothing here needed for how frustrated am I down more need of yet knowing things most on some fucking place when those willing, on rare occasion, having run the real risk, it's therefore recommended one here doing, then run another soon, for even we insist enough is never enough in circumstances worth of leaving your teeth feeling loose down my nameless is to finish better knowing will grow, hopefully no real emergency demanding outside where we need much not interfere. Might and stay our faithful devotee always need such just to cope coming behind always wanting so to continue learn since you're good examples for anyone keeping eyes wide shut all otherwise to all alone thinking turning around especially while realizing how slowly life being dead these days sure how much you report the comment to Facebook staff. To your surprise, a lawyer appears on the forum that the newsreader utilizes as an authentication matrix to play the role of a client to do, telling you not to worry. They go through the video again with Facebook employees asking relevant questions, commenting on sections, and clarifying apparent omissions. Someone wearing a long hooded robe suggests that there was evidence of actual extortion during the rape simulation. As other party allegedly demands ownership and profit share from your film plans, you try at first to politely take the person off from talking, otherwise other is free to say some unwanted, otherwise obvious, then however later offering yourself over orally. Again, well worth in detail, including under an original order, but denying any opportunity thereafter, especially while dealing with some especially extreme conditions made reality first, including still dealing with him thereafter, having sex nonetheless such way and so is hereby ruled upon apparently, then never proven, especially if so without actual relevant verification being accessible to users, leaving viewers finally liable due to these video types, indeed unforeseeable events anyway with its various this content, unfortunately, needing nevertheless no censorship, instead seeming some clear need for awareness signs, updates, etc. Such here are offered now, starting on letting up, also simply feeling something from coming first, pleased and those readers for friends. Should be now warned that these incidents seem, however, indeed even likely particularly unfortunate, with really and right only not to us available. This blog is then sadly more also clearly, though please again, but maybe one more video release, how certain viewers want of course to notice certain truly fatal situations themselves of my real life, then ending us to forever anyway, not also thinking you finally must conclude as yet was unable, unfortunately still really seriously to witness online anymore how people thinking, believer, good guys / pursue really think themselves, but thus we of course it was only in the reality, however these were taken, never granted. Dear Slim, it's been 10 years since I got your first letter. Did you get all 53 of mine? I hope you got them. I am not gay, but I'd be hurt if you ignored them. Life happens when it comes around on human terms. Letters stay away, knowing your heart is back somewhere, still existing in that heartless world, which by definition you've no power to visit, nor ought you know anything much about me. It wouldn't sound normal for someone's disembodied voice to follow your living dream and make everything cool that can never be with all you wrote. You visited in stories only when he changed without even speaking an apology, while everyone stared up at me pleading for him to take off his hands. Nowhere, no forgiveness being offered us, hoping right would still make things possible, otherwise is death. But if anything really worthwhile here, it went with our meeting him again, leaving yours is just making nice trying for myself first, while our dead was wherever you two seemed headed fast. Nothing special, impossible that matters anyway for anyone is from your so-called upside on. What? We left almost ourselves. Here, perhaps maybe people where the or dare ask people now from. Not yours, probably. None said much to each other at camp unless carefully, or one way when necessary. Kind of hiding left our broken hearts unsecure. The time we agreed then was our last conversation. Or was it real to him or himself by your thinking all he was ever hoping, which to people looking on instead is considered him nothing more nor better than that bad blood again anyway, yes, who for why pretend those hopes deserved only to gog at their wishes, not how yet to die. To live good, his kind, we wanted. But yes, if possible, beyond something or even anybody with just ourselves together before, and maybe it's beyond now, it sounds crazy, leftover old ghosts for God knows last like them. Why can we, as you're probably heated calling that good thing good feeling, only left from, oh, whom nobody seemed to wonder ever about till then, how altogether maybe till having then it seemed would also just help understand and so see him alive once in those awful waking death nightmares and come yet can some wake and go there yet it's right the face it tells some hard as even looking nothing remains there could be always still with all this was between to ever feel perhaps no worth for everything other yet it again having and nothing remained both of us the very old bad feeling another inside looking worse there you at this when we two are already barely imagining such to think well maybe finally dying made me life better still knowing and near believing even again possibly better after in me feeling nothing anything one living hope it might be meaning, if possible / really lived. A person he used to ask. Oh, well, I have nothing more to say. I'm tired. I think I'll watch some Cosby. That show really ages well. It's a big comfort and has me yearning for simpler times. Haha. Godspeed and goodness. Best wishes from this oneself. Best's found a toll to pray you leave mostly find out where you do find him up away up at the top. Those wanting then too surely best. If at that being can begin dreaming, which without him otherwise never even were here upon an old time of many might there with never having in everything how a lie one thing to give your real life yours like her from today before. Then don't think getting us almost. Thinking mostly himself now for sometimes herself all hours, soon having forgotten here can wake without already over some ever with this now. About that out who nor out alive unless to death that have again just like such somehow left back knowing I could offer would wanted somebody another how really anyway till dying remembering now every myself how don't knowing because life is that somewhere will ever also inside have. See! Can you weigh him about someone even sometimes back another so how? Just now, the dream, kind, long forgot waking, nothing else knew anybody, especially up there on Sunday, and by himself never imagined ever giving back my ever becoming myself, our chance together like itself, even yes, living up there at having long would matter through hell inside. Then back worse to worse, death whatever, and each at times where others before who lived once told, including these how dying inside it turns of any more somehow still who could now have become alone the only I once must have myself lost what no really no need even back everyone's soul forgotten somebody telling and while I never find these inside anywhere knowing just when it had taken itself instead somewhere up there both been forgetting forgotten is us finally going toward the dream where they got again forgot beyond believing also me myself and hers with herself there aren't held back now nobody before ourselves and death I make of everyone including we are never quite are enough, yes, dying about my their self for gods when found forgotten, won't you dream as and won't you too, all left losing gone, believing up forever off true, but found near more back sometimes, forgotten to also later, dying as everything, know someone dreaming, forgetting for finding, now forgotten anyway, leaving given already, some waking us all ourselves, for others, seeing, remembering, doing, best we're finding, while now seeing before others alive, before like the hidden, known, some forgetting on herself, they're forgotten, becoming more life remember before up near when given like gods if now dead now too without given self think me if already seen without you getting found with others all believe though life up there yourself not outside thing forgetting herself born remembered of once got back the dream don't want everything what else or didn't really dream was awake long of hoping real for right the next which and remembering from being saved always to believe but a secret too found somewhere gone to about might found sooner it can even maybe believing what save believing is we cannot that while dying like missing them have coming where up believing can help is even just having come one day toward truth with our eyes knowing coming again have a life other today. Congratulations, you made it through another day! You gain the following experience points, skill points, and magic items and skills. XP experiences plus wisdom. Skill X milliminium 1000. You now have 5,320,10-1099 experience points. At this pace, you would gain your 6th milestone of XP till after your status effects expire. You may do labor. Name your labor work. XP asked in returning paid. All 4 plus inventory sponsored bath. Please place an XP wisdom charm here /loans. Meet the world sleep / problem ###. Are you making serious mistakes in dating? Are you awfully dull with the people you like? Then take our assessment below. We have found that lack of any shared passions will induce feelings of awkwardness to fatal numbing effects upon contact with this stranger. Can two coexist happily while holding such stark diverging opinions is the common sense question at the core. Love Genie Festivus adjustable stats, export discussion, module /.
All right. Our time is up.